A text file, it can be understood as a sequence of characters consisting of alphabets, numbers and other special symbols. So if you want to store the information along with the result for future, we can have the concept of file system in computer science. See, after completing the work or operations in a file, that particular file has to be closed. Any file which has been opened for different operations, that has to be closed at the end of the operation. Dear students, welcome to Computer Science classes. I am Ravi Kumar KR, lecturer in Computer Science, Vidhyaashram PU College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. Students, let us start our discussion with the chapter File Handling in Python. So in this chapter, we are going to discuss the different concepts. One is introduction to the file system, types of files, opening and closing text files, reading and writing from and to a text file, and the pickle module. These are the concepts to be covered in the chapter File Handling in Python. Now let us start with the introduction to the file. So all of you are familiar with the word file in computer science or in the field of computer science. So in our system, all our data information we are going to store in the form of a file. So in general, a file is the basic unit of a computer memory. So you take different types of file, maybe your audio file or your video file or maybe a Word file, Excel, PowerPoint. You take any sorts of file, any types of files. That's the basic unit. That's how the computer stores the information in computer memory. So here, let us see what is the definition of a file. So it is a named location on a secondary memory devices or secondary storage media, and where data are permanently stored for later access. So what is the advantage of a file? Or see, in general, we are going to store lot of information or types of information in a file. So what is the purpose of that? So if we store any information, that will be there permanently and we can use it for our access or in our future. So that is the advantage of this file, and it is a named location, means it is we have to give the name for that particular file, and we are going to store in a particular location in a secondary storage media. So this is a basic definition of a file. So it is a named location on the secondary memory media. Data are permanently stored for later access. See, now if you last year you have learned, or in Python programming, we know how to write a simple programming. So whenever you write the program in either interactive mode or in script mode in Python programming, so we get the result, we can see the output, but we are not storing those results for our future. Please observe this. See, whenever we do simple programs in Python programming, we can see the result, but we could not store or we have not stored those information for our future. So if we want to store the information along with the result for future, we can have the concept of file system in computer science. Now, the computer stores every file as a collection of zeros and ones, because all of you know it is a binary form, because computer can understand only the binary numbers or zeros and one. All informations are stored in a sequence of zeros and one. So that is in binary form. So every file is basically just a series of bytes stored one after another in a file. So this is how the informations are stored in a file. How the information is stored? It is in a series. It's a series of bytes stored one after the other. So this is how the information are stored in a file. So this is the basic definition of a file. In the next slide, let us see different types of files. So as I've told you in the beginning, we have come across different types of files in computer system. For example, suppose if you have a file in MS Word file, we are identifying with the extension name .docx, or maybe MS Excel file or PowerPoint file. And apart from that, we have come across a file like audio file, video file, and different types of files. And even if you talk about the Python files or even a C file, Java files, all these are different types of files here. But here with respect to file handling in Python, we have come across there are two types of file here. Now let us say first one is text file and second one is binary file. So there are two types of files with respect to Python programming. One is text file and second one is binary file. Now let us see what is the definition of a text file. A text file, it can be understood as a sequence of characters consisting of alphabets, numbers, and other special symbols. So one of the property or one of the feature is that this text file consists of alphabets, numbers, and other symbols. So generally in text file, we can say all the keyboard characters. So all of you know the keyboard layout and all of you know the different keys available on the keyboard. So generally the text file consists of all the keyboard characters or maybe information with the combination of different keys on the keyboard. So it consists of these many characters, alphabets, numbers, and special symbols. And files with the extension like .txt, py, csv, notepad file, etc. are example for text file. So you know what is a notepad? So in the notepad, if you write any information and if you observe this, it's going to save the file as a .txt. So .txt stands for text file. So if you observe in notepad, as per the feature of text file, you cannot find any special characters or we are not supposed to make use of any special characters. So that is the notepad file is a text file. And apart from .py, you know what is .py? It is a Python programming file or a source file. And CSV file and other programming file, maybe .html file or maybe .java files. All the source files are nothing but a text files or the examples for these text file, and file with the following extensions or the examples. Next point is each line of a text. Each line of a text file is stored as a sequence of ASCII equivalent of the characters and is terminated by a special characters called end of line or AOL. So now we have learned last year the coding system. There we have learned the ASCII coding, or you might have aware of FCD or Unicode. See, these are different types of coding system we are using in computer. So all the informations are stored in a text file with the characters with the equivalent value of the ASCII value or with the equivalent value of the ASCII value. I mean to say, so all the informations are stored in the text file with the equivalent value of ASCII value. That is one of the feature of this text file. And how do we terminate the line? How do we terminate each and every line in a text file? By using a special character called EOL. EOL stands for end of line. So this is a special character. So whenever the interpreter or the compiler execute or come across this type of symbol, the cursor or the pointer goes to the next line, or it understands that it is end of a line. Now, next point is the contents in a text file are usually separated by white space, but comma and tab are also commonly used to separate values in a text file. In a text file, normally we are using white space means space. The space or comma, and this is /t, it is for tab. So these are the characters we are using in a text file. So these are the features of a text file or the definition of a text file. Now let us see another type of file, that is binary files. So as I told you, there are two types of files. One is binary file, second one is text file. So now let us see what is the definition of binary files. So these are the files stored in terms of bytes, zeros and ones, but unlike text file, these bytes do not represent the ASCII values of the character. So it is again nothing but the sequence of bits and bytes or sequence of bytes, no doubt. But it doesn't, the informations or the characters inside the binary file are not the ASCII value or equivalent ASCII value in a file. That is one of the feature of this. And it consists of data stored as a stream of bytes. Stream is nothing but a path. It is a group of bytes. So it's going to show in the form of stream of bytes. They represent actual content as image, audio, video, and compressed version of other files or exe file or executable file. These are all examples for binary file. Exe means executable files. You know what is executable files? Audio files, video, and compressed version of file. Maybe the compressed version of files are the example for this binary files. And these files are not human readable. So as we have seen in the text file we have a characters, one keyboard character that is in the human readable form, but in binary files it is not in human readable form. In the next slide, we will see what is opening and closing a text file. Now, with respect to file handling in Python, we have to remember 2 or 3 points. See, first of all, what is opening and closing a text file? So, you take any file in programming concept, we have so many operations on that. For example, the file has to be created first and we have to write some information onto the file, and we can read the information from a text file, and we can write information and to a binary file and read the data from the binary file. And all these are nothing but we can say the operations or different functions can be performed on files, maybe on text file as well as binary files. So the here main concept with respect to file handling is any file which is to be working with. So first step is we have to create the file, then we have to open the file. And after opening the file, we can do necessary operations like adding additional data to the file or erasing the data, deleting the data, or data modifications. Any operations can be performed. See, after completing the work or operations in a file, that particular file has to be closed. So these are the basic points with respect to the file handling in Python. So accordingly, let us see the syntax. And here, for each and every operations, we have a separate syntax. And let us learn different syntax with example. Now, first one is opening a file. What is opening a file? The first step is we have to open a file. And remember this, we can open a file which are already existing. Suppose if you open a file which are not existing, then it prompts with a type of error. So that is the concept in file handling. So first one is opening a file. Now let us see the syntax of that. And here it is possible to open a file with there are 2 methods or there are 2 functions. One is by using open function and second one by using with class. So it is possible to open a text file with 2 methods. One is by using open function and second by using with class. Let us see the definition and syntax of this. So here the syntax is open function is file object equals open and a file name and along with access mode. And here, if you remember this access mode, so here there are different file access modes are available in Python programming and it has to be used accordingly as per our requirement. For example, for reading a file, we have a separate mode, and for writing a information to the file, and also for appending data, add data to the end of the file. For each and everything, we have a separate mode. That is the meaning of access mode here. Now look at the example here. So here my object is object here. My object is an object equals open and here my file.txt comma with r plus. So this is, if you look at the syntax, this is name of the file which are already existing in your computer system or in secondary storage media. And comma, this is the access mode. Here r plus is the access mode, means it is for reading purpose or we are opening the file for read operation. Next one is, this is one syntax. Another syntax is by using with class. So how do we use it? So syntax is with open, file name, access mode, and here as file object. So this is second method of opening a text file. Example, with open and here myfile.txt, comma r plus as my object. This is another method of opening a file, and you can note down the difference between these two with respect to syntax. In the next slide, it is closing a file. As I told you in the beginning, any file which has been opened for different operations, that has to be closed at the end of the operation. Now, what is the closing a file? See, once we are done with the operations, read or write operations on a file, it is a good practice to close the file. While closing a file, the system frees the memory allocated to it. So, it is in generally, we can say that once the file has been closed, which has been opened for different operations, when the file is closed here, the memory is released from the computer memory, which was occupied for that particular file. Now the syntax is file object dot close. This is syntax. Example, my object dot close. See here, my object is an object here. Now in the previous slide, we have seen that my object is an object here. This object has been opened, or the file has been opened with respect to the object, my object. So while closing, we are using the same object, my object dot close. So this is how to close a text file. This is a syntax and example for closing a file. In the next slide, we will see writing to a text file. As I told you in the beginning, so there are different functions or different syntax to work with read or write or different operations. So now it is a writing operation or writing to a text file. So here the first step is we need to open it in write mode or append mode. The first step would be any file which we want to write it, that file has to be opened, and that too has to be opened in write mode or append mode. This is the syntax. It takes the string as an argument. When this is the syntax of the write method, it takes an argument as a parameter, as a string, and writes to the text file. See, any parameter or any string it takes as a parameter, the same data is going to write to the particular file. Now look at, and it returns number of characters being written on single execution of the write method. And also it returns a display number of characters which has been written to a text file. Look at the example now. In the example, my object, this is the file object, equals open. We are opening a file with the syntax myfile.txt with W. Here W stands for write mode. We are opening this myfile.txt is a text file in writing mode or write mode. Now next one is my object.write. The syntax of this, my object.write. And here we are writing the string. This is nothing but arguments. As per the syntax, it takes the string as an argument. So open double quote, close here. This is the syntax. Hi, I have started using files in Python with \n. That is escape sequence. Now, once we execute this command, or once the interpreter executes the particular write function, is going to display the number of characters which has been written. So according to this, is going to give 41. It means that the 41 characters are written to a text file. The file name is myfile.txt. Now after this, it is a practice to close the file. The my object, myfile.text, which has opened, it has to be closed with the syntax myObject.close. This is the syntax of this. It is not going to display any information here so far, because only the file has been opened for write mode and only it has written number of characters. And if you want to read the file or you want to display the information, that is read operation, the same file has to be opened in read mode. Then we can display or read the information of that particular text file. In the next slide, another function is write-lines function or write-line method. So this method is used to write multiple string to a file. Now, if you have seen the previous slide, the write method, we used to write only one string or one part of information. Now, write lines is a method or a function used to write multiple strings the information in multiple lines. Look at the example now. My object equal to open myfile.txt. Means we are opening a file in write mode. Lines equals, observe this, lines equals, open the bracket, hello everyone, closing the string here, comma, writing multi-line strings, backslash n for next line, and this is the third line, closing it. See, this is the strings we are passing here, and this is the string. So accordingly, my object dot write lines. So this is the method here, write lines, bracket lines. So here lines is the way we are storing the information in multiple lines. Next one is my object dot close. As usually we supposed to close the file which has been opened. So here this is a write line function used to write the multiple lines to a particular text file. If you look at the output for this, we can see here the first line is hello everyone, and this is backslash n is a new line character, and here because of this the control comes down, so writing multi-line string, this would be the second string in second line, and this is the third line, this will be in third line. This is the write line functions to write multiple lines into a text file. In the next slide we will see read from a text file or reading operation. So far we have learned to open a file in write mode. Now I want to read the file. As I told you in the beginning, we have to use appropriate file opening modes or file modes. So first one is, that is the definition of this. Before reading a file, we must make sure that file is opened in R plus, W plus, or A plus mode. So there are different types of modes are available. So it has to be opened in any of the modes for read operation. Now let us see the definition of this. So this method is used to read a specified number of bytes of data from a data file. It is also possible to read entire information from a line, and also possible to read a specific data of a particular file or a part of a file. The syntax goes like this. The read method, file object dot read, and bracket, this is parameter argument, that is n. So here n stands for is integer value. So it takes an integer as an argument and is going to read these many characters from the given text file. Now let us see the example of this. So here my object equals open myfile.txt, comma R mode, that is read mode. Next one is my object dot read, here 10. As per the syntax, n is the integer value. Here 10 means we have to read 10 characters from the particular file. Now here accordingly is going to display hello over. Here if you observe this, there are 10 characters including the space. And if you look at the previous slide, see these are the information we have written in a text file by using write line functions. There are so many characters we have written it. But here in the syntax, as we have mentioned here only 10, it reads the first to 10 characters from the beginning of the text file. That is the syntax of read method. So in this example, hello everyone, it reads the first 10 characters from the text file. So the accordingly output will be hello ever, and we have to close the particular object or the file. Here object for this particular file, myfile.txt, it has to be closed at the end after the operation. This is reading from a text file. Next function is the read lines functions. So here definition is it reads one complete line from a file where each line is terminated with new line characters, that is backslash n. See here read line function. So in read function, it is possible to read a part of a file or number of characters from a text file. But with the help of read line, it is possible to read multiple lines or entire line of information at a time. So let us look at the syntax of this. So here my object equals open space myfile.txt, and comma R. R is the mode of the opening a file. Here R stands for read mode. Next one is my object dot read lines. The syntax read line 10 means it read 10 characters. So this would be the output of this. We are closing a file. Now, one more method of using readline function is like this. My object equals open my file.txt read mode, and here print my object dot read lines. And here in this, we have not written anything in the argument. In that case, it's going to read entire line at once. So that is the function of readline function. It reads entire lines at once. So accordingly, it's going to print hello everyone, because see, this is the information we have written in the file myfile.txt. So entire line is going to read at once with the help of this readline function. Next concept is, here observe this, is going to read only one line of information from a text file. Now to read the entire file line by line using the readline function, we can make use of loop. Means it returns an empty string when EOF is reached. Now all of you know what is EOF? It is end of file. And here, if you want to read multiple lines in a text file or entire information of a text file, the readline function has to be used within a particular loop. In the next slide, we will see some example. So here, example for readline method. The method read all the lines and returns the lines along with the new line as a list of string. This is readline function. Now look at the example here, writing and reading to a text file. This is one example where we can read and write into a text file and from a text file. First one is f object equal to open test file.txt with the mode w. So test file.txt is a file we are opening with write mode, that is with the W mode or write mode, so that we can write information. So according, next one is sentence equals input, enter the contents to be written in the file. So we have to write the information to be written in this as an argument. Next one is f object dot write sentence. We are using a write function and this is the variable. Next we have to close this. Once the information has been written to a file, we are closing it. Now if you want to read a file, the same file has to be opened in read mode. So next, the same file we are opening in read mode. So here print statement, we are reading the content of the file. Here f object equals open test file.txt. We observe this. This is the file we have used write mode. We are opening the same file with read mode. Earlier it was in write mode to write information into your text file, and this R is for read mode. Now we are opening a text file for read operation. Now here, as we have seen in the previous slide, we have to making use of loop. So if you want to read the entire information or all the information, we are using in a loop. So it is a for loop. str is a variable in f object. F object is the information here. So whatever the information stored in the test file, we are accessing using the object f object here. F object print str. And with the help of this, the loop, with the help of this, is going to read all the information of a particular test file. In this example, test file.txt. Then we have to close the function. So this is an example to make use of readline functions or to read entire information or multiple lines from a text file with the help of readline function. Now let us see the output for the particular example. So here, enter the contents to be written in the file, first one. Next one is, we say roll number equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, this is the information we are writing here. Roll number equal to this information. Now, reading to the content of the file is roll number equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, this is the information we have written to a text file, and this is the same information we are reading with the help of read function. So, this is the output for the previous example. Next, we'll move on to next concept is setting offset in a file. So, let us see the definition of this. If you want to access a data in a random fashion, then Python gives us seek and tell functions to do so. So here, with the help of a for loop or by using any of the loop structure, it is possible to read entire information from the beginning of the file till the end of the file. But it is also possible to read the content or from the file from particular part, or we can also possible to read a part of information in a text file by using seek function and tell function. Now, what is tell method or tell function? It returns an integer that specifies the current position of the file object in a file. The syntax goes like this: file object dot tell. See here, please understand the concept here is whenever the opening a file, the file pointer, we use the word file pointer, we don't know where exactly it is. See, suppose I want to read a part of a file, the pointer has to move to a particular location. For example, see, if you take it as a one file here, and here we have written many information. So suppose if we want to read a part of information only from here, in that case, we have to place the pointer. We say file pointer to this point. So the function of this is this. So if you make use of tell function, it gives the specifies current position, means wherever file pointer is there. So accordingly, we can move the file pointer to a particular location to read from a particular text file. So that is the function of tell method. Next one is the seek method. It is used to position the file object at a particular position in a file. The syntax is file object dot seek offset reference point. See, the meaning here is the seek method. In the tell function, as I told you, it displays the current position of the file pointer for read or write operation. But with the help of seek method, seek function, it is possible to move the file pointer within a file to a particular location so that we can do different operations accordingly. That is the function of seek method. And here we have different reference point. So we say 0, beginning of the file, 1, current position of the file, and 2, end of a file. So it is possible to place the file pointer maybe at the beginning of the file. Suppose if I write 0 here as a reference point, the current position or the file pointer moves to the 0th position or 0 byte. And in the reference point is 1, means it starts reading or we are placing the file pointer to the position, current position of the file. Next one is end of file. If the reference value is 2, means it places the cursor or it places the file pointer at the end of the file. This is the function seek function or seek method. In the next slide, see the example of this. This is a general example to read and write to a data into a text file. As we have seen, the first method is file. I have to open the file in write mode. W plus is the mode. And here we are using while loop or a looping structure. While true, data equals input, enter data to save in a file, print statement, or it's going to display this. So we have to enter the data. Then file object dot write data. Data is the variable we are using here. When whatever the input we have given, it is stored in the variable data. So those data we are writing to a file with the help of the function file object dot write data. Next one is a answer equals input. Do you wish to continue? Yes or no? If answer is yes, then break. Means this program is going to continue as long as the condition is true. Means here if you say yes, it's going to ask you once again the same message, enter data to be saved. It will be the next line. Similarly, we can have n number of information or n number of lines in a file to write to a particular text file. Then after at the end of operation, we have to close the file. So this is a simple syntax to write data into a text file by using looping or loop structure. In the next slide, see the output of this. So in the enter data to a save a file, we have written the sentence here. I am interested to learn about computer science. Again, after this, as per the syntax, is going to ask you, do you wish to continue or if you enter more data? So if you say yes, it prompts you to enter another line. Python is easy to learn. This is second input. Then if you want to wish to continue, if your answer is no, it will terminate or it comes out of the loop. So accordingly, we have written 2 lines of information into the text file. Now let us see the example of this. Now this is to display the data. In the previous example, we have only written the data. We have write the data. Next one is have to read the data from a text file, practice.txt. So as per the syntax, the same file has to be opened in read mode. Then str equal to file object dot read lines. We are reading multiple lines, read line functions. Again, string here, loop here, while string print str. And again, str equals file object dot read line. And this is within a loop. So after the operation is completed, once all the information has been read, then we have to close the file. So this is a code or a syntax or the statement to display the content of the text file. By using, please observe that here we are using loop structures. In the next slide, we will see what is a pickle module. Another concept in file handling is pickle module. What is pickle module? So it is a process by which a Python object is converted to a byte stream. So we are converting the data into a byte stream, and it provides with there are 2 different methods. One is dump method, second one is load method. So what is dump method? It is used to write the objects in a binary file. So observe that this is dump and load function. We are using this to write data into a binary file. And load method is used to read data from a binary file. So this is the operations to be performed on binary files. Or we are using dump method and load method to read and write data to and from a binary file. So this is the pickle module. Next definition is serialization. So it is a process of transforming data or object in a memory to a stream of bytes called by byte stream. So this is the process of the data in the memory has to be transferred through streams of bytes or streams. And these byte streams in a binary file can then be stored in a disk or in a database or sent through the network. See, the information which are stored, which will be transferred to the memory or some other locations in a network. And serialization is a process, is also called as pickling. So this is one of the definitions called serialization. So it is transferring data or an object in a memory to a file. That is the serialization. Next one is, what is deserialization? So it is unpickling. So serialization is pickling operation. Another name is unpickling for deserialization. It is inverse of pickling process where byte stream is converted back to the Python object. So it is the inverse or reverse of serialization. The meaning here is going to transfer the data byte stream to back to Python object. So in the serialization definition, in that method, we are going to transfer the data from object to the stream or from a storage media to the stream. But here from object to the stream. That is the deserialization. It deals with the binary file, and it is the concept is with respect to binary file, and data are not written but dumped, and similarly data are not read, it is loaded. So this is the function of dump and load method, what you have seen in our previous slide. So it comes under a pickle module. So it is a module, it provides, there are 2 functions, dump function and load function. And here we use a technical term, dump and load, and we are not using writing and reading from a binary file. Here we are using the word dumping and loading to a particular file or from a particular file. So this is the operations with respect to binary file. Now let us see the syntax and definition of dump method. It is used to convert the Python object for writing data in a binary file. As we have seen the definition in the previous example, previous slide, syntax is dump data object, comma file object. This is the syntax of that. For the example, so we are using import function. So here import is a method. We are using a pickle module. We are supposed to import pickle module into our program. Import pickle and list values equals, these are the values here, and 1, and here Getica and F26. Now file object equals open my binary.dat WB. So here WB stands for, B stands for binary file which are opened for write operation. WB, it is a mode of opening binary file. And we are using dump method pickle.dump. Observe this, pickle.dump. Pickle is a module and here dump list values, comma file object. So here file object dot close. This is a syntax to make use of the dump method. In the next one, we will see what is load function. It is used to load or unpickling data from a binary file. So it is dump method is used to write data into a binary file, and load method used to read information from a binary file. The file to be loaded is opened in binary read mode. This is RB. B stands for binary file. R stands for read operation or read mode. So the syntax goes like this. Store object equals load and file object. Look at the example here. First one is import pickle and next line is print the data that was stored in a file R. Means we are going to read from a binary file. So the syntax file object equals open my binary.dat with RB. The same in the previous slide. We have seen that we have opened the file in write mode and same file we are opening in read mode. Then the next one is object variable equals to pickle. Pickle dot load file objects. The command is object variable equals pickle dot load is a function file object and file object dot close. So this is the syntax of this. So then we say print object variable. So if you observe the syntax here, see this is the object, this is the file object, we are closing it, object variable. So this is the object variable. We say pickle dot load file object. So this is the syntax of load method. Dear students, so far we have covered different concepts under file handling in Python. Let us continue our discussion in my next session. Thank you so much.